I mean, I could check, but I am pretty positive that we are live.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I'm Kevin, and
Uh,
who are you?
I'm Joey. Stupid.
Yes, that guy. He exists too, and we are this podcast. All
Wait,
right, we have it. All right, audience, tell us what we should name this podcast.
we're naming it
Those
Sociopath
are-
for sure.
And now we will sit down and wait. It will just completely sit in silence and wait until the audience replies in the chat, answering our questions.
Something
That sounds like a good plan to me.
that'll never happen, dude. Oh. Sure.
Okay, so I believe you and I, well, actually, first let's talk a bit about ourselves. So, who are we exactly? And why should you care, our dearest viewers? Well, first off, I am the lovely Kevin. I am a physics major at some state school in New York or something, I don't know. And I'm chilling in my basement right now at midnight, exactly midnight, plus 4 minutes. And we're just doing this. I think you literally came up with the idea to do this yesterday completely spontaneously. Would you like to give an introduction to yourself, Joe?
I'm Joey. I'm one of a kind for sure. There's 1,000 yous. There's only one me. Don't take that for granted. That's pretty much it. I'm chilling. There's a virus out. I don't even know what it's called. I'm a little bit worried.
I think it's called the bat disease.
Yeah, I heard something like that. I don't know. I'm not concerned.
Okay, so I think that is something that we can share a somewhat, well, not really. I don't want to use the word unique, but I think that is something that you and I can share a somewhat nuanced view on, because even though this whole stupid virus thing is something that's affecting pretty much everyone in the world, unlike the usual news stories that consume the news that everyone talks about, this is something that just about everyone will have a different take on, because just about everyone is being affected in some different or unique way by the virus in one form or another, because of the situations we're all in. And I think because of that, you and I could probably say some things that might be a little bit unique. Like, how has your family been doing in the wake of this pandemic anyway?
Bush did 9/11. That's it.
All right. That's a pretty good take. I like the fact that you are already taking my advice I mentioned earlier about hot takes. Yeah, no, that's probably true. And also, 5G caused the coronavirus. That too.
I don't know. I feel like 5G happened after.
Have you actually heard about that?
Yeah, there's.
That crazy
ridiculous.
conspiracy going out there that 5G networks are the cause of all the evil in the world? There are people out there that will say that. All right, I went down this rabbit hole a while back. There are people who are in support of this whole 5G caused the coronavirus thing will also try and argue that 5G somehow caused the Holocaust in 9/11, even though it's basically a brand new thing.
I love that.
They think that it's somehow warping space-time. It's just this evil force that is dominating humanity. And just because one tower happened to be installed in China around the time the virus started, that means that 5G is the direct cause of the coronavirus.
I love that. I think that is how we grow as a nation, you know? Like, it's like yin and yang. Like, you're gonna have completely good and completely evil. You're gonna have complete idiots and complete geniuses, right? Without that, the world is not balanced.
It's got to be balanced. So you're saying that the coronavirus is the evil balancing the 5G? The 5G is the force for good, in your words?
Honestly, it's possible, you know? Like, never say never, right?
What do you mean by that? Explain your view.
I'm saying like anything could be possible, right? Like there's no way I would know if any of that happened. Like I'm just some kid, right? You're just some kid, but like it is just a conspiracy theory. Also, like there's no way we would know, but so there's a possibility like believing it isn't that bad.
You know, I think that is a fairly wise and mature thing to say, even despite the situation. So we're only 5 minutes into this podcast, and already you're spouting off wisdom left and right.
Well,
I think we're off to a roaring start.
What about like flat earthers? Like, what do you think about that?
It's funny you say that actually, because just earlier today, YouTube happened to recommend to me with its crazy algorithm a like 40-minute long video from some science professor who apparently was attacked by a prominent group of flat earthers who literally made like a 3-hour long video debunking a video of his that suggested the earth is round. And this group, and normally when I think of flat earthers, normally I think of them as like maybe people who sort of believe it in private. Like in general, I didn't suspect that there were many people who believed it for real, because it's just so absurd. But these guys, like, it's definitely wasn't satire the way I was watching it, because it was literally like a 3-hour long video where they truly were like breaking down their beliefs and their models and their scientific hypotheses in a way that they genuinely seem to believe it as fact, even though any sort of science background whatsoever causes their arguments to fall apart, just collapse like a house of cards. And I thought it was kind of amazing. I didn't watch the whole video, since why would I do that? But I thought the professor's response to it was pretty unique, because he totally took them down
Well, do you
in
think,
a
do you
pretty
think it's
entertaining
possible
manner.
that the Earth is flat, though?
Do I think it's possible that the Earth is flat?
Yeah.
No, and the reason why is because I'm a physics major, and because of that, I know enough to know that literally everything in physics and by extension everything in science is based around the assumption that the Earth is round. It's based around the assumption that gravity, the force of attractions between two masses, works in such a way that the Earth would have to be round. There's no way around that. Get it? No,
Well,
there's no way around the fact that the Earth is. It can't be flat. There's nothing.
We
there's
also
nothing
don't completely
about that.
understand gravity, though. What if
On like, all right, to be honest, to be fair here, for transparency, how well scientists understand gravity isn't exactly something I'm extraordinarily familiar with. Maybe they do understand it pretty well, and I'm just not aware of it. But even if you are mostly right, scientists still understand the mechanics of gravity to a pretty solid degree. That much I do know, even if we don't know the like super deep specifics of why it works the way it does. And we understand that, and it can be empirically demonstrated to a strong enough degree that I don't think there's much room for doubt that the Earth is in a mostly spherical shape.
Yeah, but what if it's a donut?
That is a great point. Yeah, that's probably the actual answer.
And the moon is in the center of the donut, right?
Right. That's why we can see it at night.
Like, there's no possible way that you can get a full picture of the Earth. All the pictures are like photoshopped to like make it look like it's the full Earth, but there's no real picture of the full Earth.
That's not true. There have been photos that were taken of the Earth. I think one of the older photos, and the video I was watching that I mentioned earlier actually referenced a photo of the Earth from space that was taken back in the 60s, actually. And I saw the photo, and it was even like a color photo and everything.
That's very
It's
interesting
not
that you
really
say that.
it's not fair to say we don't have any photos of the Earth.
No, of
and
the
not to
full
mention,
Earth.
what do you mean?
Like a camera cannot like capture the whole Earth. Like what they do is they take pictures of like parts of the Earth and then they combine it together. Like
Not if the camera or not if the device taking the photo was out far enough in space.
Okay, and then all right, I have another theory. All right, that the Earth could possibly be flat. Right. Okay, so
Not wrong, but okay, go on.
this might be the dumbest thing you've ever heard, but like you see,
Coming out of your mouth, probably.
you've seen like a map of the Earth, right?
I've seen maps of the Earth.
And it's completely flat. Explain that.
Holy crap, you're right. I think we blew the lid off this case. I think we blew the lid wide open off this case.
So the conclusion is the Earth is 100% flat.
Yeah, I mean, you could measure the map and everything. It's paper thin, in fact.
I know, like you would think like it would come out like a different shape, right? It doesn't make sense. Have you been
We need to
keeping
take
up
the.
with
We need to
Avatar?
take this to NASA.
No, NASA.
We need to tell NASA about our findings.
Nah, screw NASA. They're not gonna help us at all. They're gonna do like some dirty work and like murder us or something probably. We got to go to Elon Musk.
I have to wonder though, if the people arguing for a flat Earth truly believe it themselves. Because on the one hand, there's the obvious angle of, okay, they're trolls, they just want attention, they're just trying to be silly to get people to make fun of them because they get some sort of sick sociopathic joy out of it. There's that angle. But on the other hand, when you see long 3-hour-long videos like the one I saw where these people are like seriously breaking it down as if they seriously cracked some kind of case here, I have to wonder if maybe there's something more psychological at play here, because when their own evidence is like contradicting themselves sentence after sentence, a part of them they have to know. They can't be completely ignorant of the fact that what they're saying is bullcrap. So a part of me wonders if maybe there's some psychological factor here, like when like a movie or something like that. If they're arguing that, oh, it's the institutions, it's the government, it's NASA, they're all it's the military, it's one big conspiracy, they're covering up the truth of the world. I wonder if maybe they feel as though they're special, like they're some kind of hero by trying to crack some sort of case off of a government conspiracy. Like that, like it makes them feel good about themselves to be arguing for something that most of the population doesn't believe in.
Well, what about religion?
Well, religion's another thing, but with this case, with the whole flat Earth thing, something that is like so clearly not true, I have to wonder if like even the people who advocate for it, like, you know, a part of them realizes maybe that what they're saying is something that's more self-serving rather than something that they truly believe is going to do well to society.
I don't know.
Like, do they really think they're doing anyone any good by arguing for, oh, it's all a lie, it's not like this at all?
Well,
Or I wonder if there's something deeper at play here.
you could say that about a lot of things, right?
I guess so.
I mean, there's gonna be people that believe insane things always, and there's gonna be more insane things that eventually appear, right?
That's true. I'm just wondering, just food for thought, I'm just wondering how many of the people who believe in insane things are truly being genuine in their belief of that insane thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think there's people that truly do believe that. There's no way there's no way that no one in the world actually believes it and like they live by that. People are crazy. it's hard to say. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get what
even
you're
know.
saying. That's probably true. I imagine you could take any insane belief and find someone in the world who believes it. But this particular thing, the flat Earth thing, has been kind of intriguing me quite a bit today, because it just seems like that one in particular has an oddly large following for what it is,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have seen coming, even despite the limitless stupidity that humanity can achieve sometimes.
Well, like Einstein said, there's two things in this world that are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. And he's not sure about the universe.
Is that actually an Einstein quote? Or
It
is it one of
is.
the 100,000 things that people say is an Einstein quote that he never actually said?
Einstein 100% said that. Although,
What was that? You cut out there for a second.
yeah, I believe that Einstein 100% said that.
All right.
Now, what about this, though? How do you think Einstein would function in our generation?
What do I think Einstein would think of our generation?
No, like, how would he, like, handle it? Like, how would he survive and stuff? Like, how would he be?
I don't know if he would necessarily be much different. If he was alive now, when science and technology has come a long way since when he was alive, I think he would probably want to build upon it as he did in the past, and he would probably find a way to improve upon it greatly as well. I mean, I don't think he would be that different, but I really don't know.
I
I don't really know the guy.
I have a theory that, like, like our cell phones, right? Like, we are masters at using them, right? Do you think he could figure that out? Like, how good do you think he'd be?
What do you
with
mean figure it
technology?
out? Like you think he would have built a phone himself?
No, do you think, like, he'd be good with technology? Like, I don't know if he'd be able to function with technology.
Are you saying like he would be so used to what he was used to when he was alive that it would be shocking to bring him into the present?
Yeah, like, we wouldn't be able to
Is that the
survive in his
scenario we were
generation.
describing here?
Yes, like, there's no way. Like, he's a genius, but, like, I honestly don't know if, like, he'd be able to use technology.
If that's what you're saying, then maybe not. Maybe he'd have to get used to it. But I honestly don't really think he would care. He'd probably study the recent scientific theory to get himself up to speed, but I think he would do what he is known for and just focus on advancing scientific theory rather than the application. Well, actually, I don't even, to be honest, I don't know that much about the specifics of what Einstein did and believed in. I know he did a lot for scientific theories, like relativity, but I don't know how involved he was in the actual application of those theories. Because if he wasn't someone that focused too hard on the applications, then maybe he wouldn't be fazed at all by the fact that we have phones and gadgets that take use of more advanced scientific technology. Maybe he just would ignore it and focus on developing theory. But I don't really know those specific details about him either.
I think science has evolved so much that, like, his knowledge would be so insignificant. What do you think about that?
I mean, you might be right, but at the same time, I mean, anyone can just open a modern physics textbook and read about the the current state of scientific beliefs. I don't think it would be that hard for him to get caught up to speed.
I don't know. It's a little complicated. Like, there's no way to know, obviously. But I
You
think
really
it'd be
believe he
very
would have that
difficult.
much trouble with it, though?
Absolutely.
All right, like take any scientist in the past, for example. They already have a background in it. If they're suddenly transported to the future, they already have a pretty strong background in the subjects. They just need to know what advancements were made.
Yeah, that is true. That's a very good point. much to say that, actually. You might have changed my mind completely. I don't know. Einstein is a
Maybe
genius.
maybe that's what this podcast needs to be.
What?
Podcast where we argue about stupid things and try to change each other's minds about them.
Well, isn't that what all podcasts are?
To a degree.
I don't know. I feel like podcast is just conversation and expressing opinions, right? Depends on what the people
A lot
want.
of my favorite podcasts are the ones where they're just kind of talking, just kind of shooting the breeze, chilling out, cracking jokes with each other. I can think of quite a few podcasts that don't necessarily involve debate specifically.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. What's your favorite podcast right now?
Hard to say. I do like the Official podcast. I like them.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of the Who's Right podcast, which is a much more obscure one. Most people might not have heard of that one.
Yeah, you watch Joe
But
Rogan?
I watched a few episodes of him.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting dude.
He's a pretty good radio host.
Yeah. What about Howard Stern?
I can see why it's popular.
You like
Howard Stern, I've never once listened to like a full episode of Howard Stern. I'm not even sure how I would get one of that. But I don't think he's bad either.
I like Howard Stern a lot. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, they all have charisma, and that's what makes them successful podcasters, successful radio hosts. So if someone wants to have a successful podcast, they kind of have to have a degree of charisma, or at the least they have to have someone else they're playing off of that has more charisma. So that way there's a stronger dynamic between all of them, or at least that's how I see it.
Well, the difference between like them and us is like they have an audience. We don't have an audience, so we don't know exactly what like they want us to talk about, right? We have no idea what to talk about, really. We're just splurting things out of our brains, right?
So I'm trying to think in terms of podcasts I know of that really did start from nothing. Like Joe Rogan is a bad example, because when he started his podcast, he was already a really well-known and respected radio host for his other projects.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the Official podcast as well. That one, I mean, that was created on a YouTube channel that already had a lot of subscribers because the YouTuber was pretty popular, so that started it. But I can think of some podcasts like the one I mentioned earlier, the Who's Right podcast. That podcast started with basically nothing. It was just him and his friend that were like, "Hey, want to do a podcast?" And they're like, "Fine." And they started posting episodes, originally getting no views, other than like maybe one or two that they would get from their Facebook page, and that was it. I feel like it's certainly, and now that podcast has a few thousand active listeners, so I think it's certainly possible for audiences to gradually accumulate over time, even if it has to happen slowly.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just do podcasts, though. It's really hard to grow with just podcasts because no one knows like how like respected you are in the podcast community. So like they're not gonna be like, oh, let me check this podcast. How like there's no reason to when there's already like amazing podcasts out there.
Well, I think that's why some people join podcast networks.
Yeah.
You know, like they get partnered with networks, and so they get promoted along with other popular podcasts, well, semi-popular podcasts as well, to the audience that follows that network.
I think the best way to grow is you gotta talk to people, really. You gotta like.
I agree with that.
Go on
I agree.
Reddit and like be like, hey, check this out and stuff. Like, no one's gonna check you out if you don't ask them to, right? Like, the answer's always no if you never ask.
That's true. But I also think that a large part of it would have to come down to why we are doing this in the first place. Because if our goal is to become rich and famous celebrities because of this, then yeah, let's go ahead and tell everyone on the planet about this show. get as many subscribers as possible. But if the goal is just to kind of have fun, kind of chill out, and not really worry too much about those the semantics with the specific details, then I'm not too concerned about something like that.
Well, I don't know if like all I want is to just be like rich and famous, but like I would like an audience to make it like to like share like my thoughts, you know?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I get what you're saying. That's fair. That makes sense.
Also, like it's nice to like have a recording of your thoughts too, so then you can go back because like you no way you remember everything you think every single day, and we're talking about like big like phenomenons basically, or whatever the word is. So now we can always like go back to this and be like, oh wow, I can't believe I thought of that. Like I'm crazy for that.
You still talking? It sounds like you're cutting out real bad.
Oh, sorry. That's my bad. I was just saying that like with an audience, it'd be more interesting. Like they could tell us, be like, oh wow, you should do like a chat about this or this or this. Like we're not always gonna have ideas ready like that, like in a snap of a finger.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah. But the fact that you say that you want to have an audience to which you can project your thoughts and such, that tells me that you have some thoughts or opinions that you believe are unique enough that you want to get them across to some audience. Am I getting that?
I mean, yeah. I feel like everyone in the world has something they want to like share with the world, right?
All right. So then I'm inclined to ask, is there something in particular on your mind now that you are hoping to share some unique perspective on?
You know, I really wish there was. Like, I feel like there was, like, earlier today, but then, like, as soon as, like, we go live, it's just gone.
Well, I think that's why most people do, like, show prep. Like they take notes on what they want to talk about before they start the recording.
I was thinking about writing a short film and filming it and finishing it by summer. That's, like, my goal this summer is to make a short film.
And you want a podcast to log your progress?
No, I don't know. What else are we going to do? Now yet. I have no idea.
Short film.
Do
you mean like when you say short film, do you mean like the one that we recorded at the park a while ago?
Yeah, something like that, but like
the one where we were like fighting in the shed?
Yeah, but something like higher quality, you know, like,
I thought that was amazing. I thought that was the best quality that a movie could be at.
I thought it was pretty good, but like I'm saying like I want like maybe like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of like just a story. Like I've been writing a lot, like thinking of ideas. Like I thought of this when I was like mowing the lawn. I was like, you know what, I really want to get this done. Like I've always wanted to like have a successful film and be like known for having like making a story, like Harry Potter kind of, like something like that. Like that Harry Potter changed the world, dude. I want to change the world. I want to have an impact.
Yeah. Harry Potter is a pretty high bar, so I respect you for even saying that. Even entertaining the idea shows that you have a lot of high ambitions, which is always something nice to have, especially in college when most people I know have had all their hopes crushed.
Most people I know dropped out or failed, which is ridiculous to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you do if you don't go to college?
I mean, I'm sure everyone has their own plans, obviously. I'm sure the people who drop out have something in mind that they want to do.
Like McDonald's? Like, who? I don't
Still,
understand that.
Still, though, what you just said sounds a little extreme. Everyone you know dropped out already?
No, not everyone I know, but, like, a lot of my friends did.
Well, like anyone I would know, or just you?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say names. We're online, you know?
Right, obviously.
Obviously.
But, my bad. But, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Are you talking about people you know who go to your college?
I mean, mine, other colleges too. Like, I know a lot of people like they just give up, and I don't understand the concept of giving up. Like, there's nothing in this world I don't think I could ever give up on.
That's a pretty good thing to say.
Because my mindset is like, no matter like how painful something I'm going through is, the only thing that hurts more than like what I'm going through is giving up. Things aren't always gonna work out, so like when things don't work out, I'll be fine as long as I know I did not give up. I did not stop trying.
What is your major again?
Probably computer science. I mean, it bounces around a little bit, like either nutrition or computer science, probably.
Computer science is certainly something that I imagine would be pretty tough to major in. So your mentality of never giving up is easily applicable to that.
Yeah, I mean, everything's hard, right? Kinda. It's all time. That's all I think it is. Like, I don't think there's anything I can't do. It's just I have to do it.
I don't know if I would say everything is hard, because there are plenty of things. I think it's more like most things look hard until you put in the work and realize it's just a matter of understanding.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, at first, like, things look super impossible, but then you realize, like, you're just, like, not putting in the time that you need to. Like, it's all time, dude. Everything is time. Time is the most valuable thing you have right now, and probably forever. And a lot of people, like, right now aren't putting time into anything. Like, who's out there right now, like, trying to figure out their future, dude? Like, no one is. Everyone's watching YouTube, watching Netflix all day long, doing nothing.
And I think you're right. And I think it's the time thing that most people get hung up on to begin with. Because from what I've observed, it seems as though it's just in people's nature to want to waste their time with meaningless things that serve no real purpose.
It's kind of like why I don't want a girlfriend, dude. Like, I don't want to, like, give my time to someone. I'm not saying, like, not girls in particular, even just, like, friends. I don't want to give my time away to people I don't value as valuable as my time, I would say.
So, for the audience listening in, if you're not aware, both Joey and I have basically just finished pretty much our first years of college. And so I'm sure we both have learned a lot from this year that could be applied to this conversation. From our newfound world of views, our new experiences that we can use to influence our views and opinions on things.
Oh,
Am I off base?
No, you're getting somewhere, I think. Not sure where.
Well, I'm thinking, because what you said just kind of reminded me of an experience I consistently remember having.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say consistently, but an experience I had several times during the first semester of my college, where I would often do my best to stay on top of work, of course, obviously. But every once in a while, I would think to myself, I've heard a lot about college parties. I know they're supposed to be really great. I'm curious. I want to see what it's like. So I'd head down to the frat houses where they all take place. And when I get in, I would always find myself just absolutely flabbergasted at how there are so many people I know, and just at that college alone, that would go to those parties like every single night. They're not that great anyway, but people seem to just want to waste their time doing something, even if just because the alternative requires a bit more effort. And for that I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people I know tend to almost fail a lot of their classes.
Yeah, I've actually never been to a party. Like, I just don't want to go. It's just not my thing. I like to just, like, a party to me seems like just, like, maybe 10 people max, like, all my friends. So, like, I don't want to be around a bunch of sweaty people I don't even know.
I can see why you'd say that, because after the few times I checked out those parties there, I definitely don't. I definitely understand that perspective.
I think most people go there just to drink, smoke, or like sleep with someone, and that's
But
just
that's
not
boring.
for me. I know that's just not for me.
Yeah, those things are boring. Why would you want to do that when you could be absorbing the world, going on nice walks with the atmosphere? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be saying what I'm saying now, because at the end of the day, this is all just my opinion. So maybe I shouldn't be so maybe this isn't the argument I should be making. But I definitely, my point is, I see what you're saying about how people make things out to be harder than they need to be, when in reality it's just a matter of putting in time and effort into certain things. Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying completely. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, it's like the thing about parties. Like, I never understood like the concept of like drugs and alcohol. Like, I've never seen something good come out of like drugs and alcohol. So like, I've never been interested in even trying it or thinking about trying it. Like, I never in my life have thought like, oh yeah, I definitely want to go smoke weed or something. Like, I don't think I'd ever do that. Everyone I know that like does it is just super lazy, and I don't want to be lazy.
Yeah, I guess that applies to me as well. I've never been interested in any of that stuff either, mostly because I personally find that doing things that require much more effort, it just rewards me. It feels much more rewarding to me on a personal level. So I've never been fond of kind of doing nothing all day, or just doing, I don't know what the phrase is, injecting heroin or smoking. I don't know. I don't like. I'm not. That's not for me.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be for me. Actually, I think eventually, like, I'll drink alcohol, like maybe like a couple times a year. Even like that seems like a lot to me.
I've actually still never had a sip of alcohol before.
Me neither. I don't want to. Not for me. How many parties have you been to? Kevin.
Yeah?
How many parties have you been to?
I'm trying to think. So sometimes I would go down, and the whole thing is, so there are always people guarding the entrance to the frat, and their general policy, and it's kind of loose, but their general policy is that they don't let people in unless either A, they're female, or B, they have some connection to an organization that is related to the fraternity in question. So if you're on on one of the sports teams, and that sports team is affiliated with those frats, then then they'll let you in that case.
How'd you get in?
Otherwise, if you're like me, then you will normally be turned down. And to be honest with you, and I know this is gonna sound stupid, but to be honest with you, that fact alone is part of the reason why I kind of went down to where those houses were on probably like a once a week basis, just to see if I could get in, because I would always go down there with some new idea or some new strategy in mind for how I'm gonna convince them to let me in. And they didn't always work, but sometimes they would, and sometimes I would be let in for like the most unexpected reasons ever.
That's amazing.
One time, one of my strategies to being let in, I can't. Okay, 1 week, I can't remember what my initial strategy actually was. I think I was just gonna kind of pretend I was already a part of the frat without them realizing it. But the guy caught me though. He wasn't buying it, so he asked me for my name. And the moment I told him that my name was Barbudo, he immediately was like, "Oh, you know what? I gotta let you in. That's a cool name." And he let me in on that basis alone.
That's amazing.
I genuinely was not expecting that. No, but often I would like try different methods to get in. Like one of the ways they know whether or not they've let you in already is they pull out a Sharpie marker and mark your hand, so that if you leave the frat and come back to the party, they'll know, so they won't have to question you again.
Well, then you could just Sharpie yourself before you go.
Yeah, so I did that once, where I just to see if it would work, I Sharpied my hand just to see if they would let me in. And remember, these people are all stupid and drunk and freaking idiots. So of course they weren't thinking too hard about it. They're like, "Oh, I went to the bathroom real quick. I was already let in earlier. See my mark?" And they would be like, "Okay, you're cool, dude," and not questioning it at all, even though the shape would be wrong or something.
You went all alone though? You didn't go with anyone?
I don't usually have people to go with those things. Sometimes what would happen usually is I would meet up with some people I know once I make it there, but I don't think I ever once actually actively went with other people. I would just kind of show up, and sometimes I would run into a group of people that I knew, and they would tell the guards, "Yeah, I know him. I know Kevin. He's cool," and they would let me in for that reason sometimes.
Interesting.
But those days are boring though, because I have the most fun when I'm using my own strategies to try and convince them to let me in.
I think that's actually the best part of the party, is like trying to get in.
And you're right, because when they do let me in, when I finally get in, when one of my plans pays off, I wouldn't even do anything, because once I'm in the party, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't care about these idiots, and I would usually just like stand around for a minute trying to soak in the atmosphere before just walking out.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in going into parties. It's just, I don't like it.
But now I've given you a reason to want to try to get into parties anyway, right?
I think I could get in without trying. I bet. I know a lot of people.
I think just on appearance alone, though, like you could easily lie to them and say that you're part of the football team or something. And I think they'd believe you, because you everything about you just looks like the ultra athletic type. I think they'd buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on like what you're wearing. Like if you dress like you're going to a party, then like maybe they'll like believe you, right? Like I don't know. I'm really tempted to try it now though.
I guess that's true. They could go off the outfits. But then again, a lot of them have the general policy of they don't let you in unless you have a female with you.
Which is like super ridiculous. I just don't understand parties, man. It's just like, I don't get it. It drives me insane.
Something that I've noticed is that even if you do bring a bunch of girls with you to the party, they'll sometimes still say, all right, the girls can get in, but you male person, you have to pay $5 to get in.
They're just like so desperate for girls that they had to like let them in for free. But like, I don't know. I just don't find any joy in something like that.
So I'm not entirely sure if I should say the name of the college I go to on the podcast.
I would
so
not.
For the time being, I'll leave the name of my college and I'll leave that a mystery for now. But it is worth noting, though, in response to what you just said, that my college, just within the few semesters that I've been there, has already had like multiple reports of like rape attempts at those parties and like sexual harassment. So I definitely can see where that comes from.
I just don't understand. Like, why would you want to put yourself at risk like that? Never understood that. Like, girls like they want to go to parties and stuff, and they like I would never do anything like that. Like, obviously these frat guys are there for a reason, right? That's what they want, obviously. I'm not saying everyone, but like, I just don't understand. Like, you gotta protect yourself, man. Like, if you know, like, I wouldn't like go to a dark alley at night. Like, that doesn't make sense, right?
All right. But sometimes when I'm walking down those streets, one of the guys who runs the frats like come up to me and say, "Hey, are you an undercover cop?"
You say yes.
And I'll be like, I mean, if I was, why would I tell you? If I was trying to find out if there was underage alcohol here, and if I was trying to bust you, why would I suddenly tell you before I even make it in? Like that. Like, I've noticed that that's also one of the questions they ask people before that. And are you a cop?
It's a dumb
And
question.
because actually, and I swear this is true, sometimes they would like directly tell me that I look or sound like the kind of person that would be a cop. I don't know if that's because of my voice or the way I present myself or something, but I think that I feel like that happens to me more often than other people.
I mean, that's pretty interesting. I could see it.
So like I've said before, that I often try to come up with different crazy methods to get into those parties, just to see what I can do to dupe them into letting me in. But one personal kind of crazy idea I've had that I don't think I'll ever actually do because it's a little extreme, but it's just a little fantasy I have in my mind nonetheless. Is that if I were to put on some clothes that really did suggest that I was somehow some sort of authority, and then just straight up tell them, "Yeah, I'm a cop, I'm investigating," then they'd have to let me in, right? If they're dumb enough to buy it.
No, I think everyone would run away as soon as they like knew a cop was there.
And that's the magic of it. I get to ruin the night of those jerks.
I would totally do it, dude. Like, that stuff is like so messed up. I could just never see myself being like in a frat house. I just don't want that. That's just disgusting.
Have you ever been in one before?
No, I mean, like, I've been invited, but like I just don't want to go at all. I think it's disgusting.
Do you know what they're like?
I mean, I've seen movies and stuff. I've seen videos.
I don't know if movies really do it justice, because I've been in a couple, and 4 out of 5 times, it's going to be like everyone in the room is like completely cramped like sardines. And I don't mean like the way you typically see it in the movies, where it's just like a crowd of people and there's like a little bit of room for dancing. I mean, like, there's barely any room to walk 5 feet or even 2 feet without like having 3 people squishing you together from all sides. It is genuinely an unpleasant experience by all accounts. If the coronavirus pandemic happened just a little bit sooner, everyone in my college would have the virus just from those parties alone.
I think it's disgusting. I think people that go to parties, like, I don't know what your motive is. It doesn't make sense. Like, you want to get, like, I don't know. I feel like there's only one motive, really, if you to go to a party. It's drugs, alcohol, and to sleep with someone. That's disgusting.
Well, like on the floor?
I don't know.
It's not like they have beds lying out next to the dance hall.
I don't know. They all grind up on each other, right?
Does grinding constitute as sex now?
I don't know.
It probably does, knowing the way people do things nowadays. I don't freaking know. I don't know anything. I'm just a dumb kid.
I mean,
that's all.
I think the main reason I hate parties is I hate being around a lot of people. I don't know. It just bothers me. Like, I just think people are so annoying and like disgusting, and I just don't want to be around a lot of people, you know?
I guess I personally differ from that a bit. I know that I don't have a problem with people in general. I just don't really like the conditions of a bunch of people cramped together like that.
Yeah, because they're all
But I don't
sweaty.
have a problem with being around a lot of people in general.
Well, I mean, I guess I like worded that wrong. Like, I'm fine with being around like a lot of people. I just don't like being cramped up like that around sweaty people. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. The atmosphere is. I kind of like the atmosphere from like because of like how interesting and kind of unique it is compared to what I'm used to. But the atmosphere is still rather suffocating.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, doesn't make sense.
I remember one of the few times that I was actually in a party. I met up with someone while I was there. I'm not gonna say who, but it was someone that I think you would know. It was someone fairly popular from our high school.
Yeah.
And she had like a bunch of guys like lift her up, like upside down, and she was drinking out of one of those massive barrels filled with beer, and and it was one of those barrels with like a pump on the side. So as they were lifting her up upside down, like the tube in her mouth, the guy was like pumping it over and over again, like sending up massive amounts of beer into her for her to just like drink really fast. And she was up there for a while. I'm amazed that she didn't die of alcohol poisoning right there on the spot. But apparently that sort of stuff happens there a lot in that particular frat that I was at that day.
That's trash, dude. That's literally so trash. That like upsets me. Like, I hate like seeing things like that. Like, I understand like enjoy yourself, right? But like, geez, man, you don't have to exploit yourself, right?
In my personal opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with it if a person wants to do something like that every once in a while. Yeah. I was just saying earlier that I have a little bit of a harder time respecting it when someone's going to do that every single day, and then the next day cry about how their GPA is 1.9.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, these people are spending a lot of money to go to school, and they're wasting it.
And I'm not trying to sound like one of those people who thinks that GPA is everything, because I know that's not necessarily the case. But at the same time, it's definitely a conflict of interest when you're going to complain about it and then not act upon it. I just think that sort of I don't know if I would call it hypocrisy, but I don't know if that sort of action really justifies their emotions later.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they should be upset about it if they're hurting themselves.
It's hard to say, right? Like, I mean, like, you're always in your life, you're gonna regret a lot of things you do, but like, if you keep doing that, then like, you're only hurting yourself. You have to learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from them, like,
well, like what?
You don't grow.
It sounds like you cut out again.
I'm saying that like, you're gonna regret things in your life, no matter what, right? But like, if you keep doing that, then you're not learning, and you need to learn to grow.
I guess so. I'm not gonna lie, that phrase always scares me when people say everyone regrets things. Everyone regrets things at some point in their lives. Whenever someone says that, it scares me a little bit, because I genuinely cannot think of a single thing in my life that I regret. And when people say that, it makes me wonder if I'm going to do something I regret in the future.
I don't regret anything, man. Like, at one point, I know that, like, everything I've done, I've wanted to do it when I did it. So why would I regret it now? I did it when I wanted to do it.
You did what?
Anything. Like, if I regret something now, I don't know. I don't want to regret anything. I'd rather just learn from it, right? If I have regrets, that's just going to bring me down. I'd like to be glad that I make mistakes. Like, a loss ain't a loss, it's a lesson.
Right, definitely. No, I agree.
You have to appreciate your failures, dude. Like, I don't know, like, if you can't handle your failures, that screws you. But, like, if you never fail, you'll never learn, I don't think. I mean, that's so hard to say, though.
I think you're making your point pretty clear. I think you're doing a good job of getting your point across.
I don't know. I don't think I'm a failure at all if I learn, right?
Definitely. So, we have been recording for just about an hour now.
Oh, yeah. You ready to shut things down?
I think it's about time that we could start wrapping things up.
All right.
But because this is our first attempt at recording a podcast-like thing, I suppose it's worth going over what we have learned from today. and how we could improve upon it the next time we were to do such an episode. For example, one thing I had in mind was what I suggested earlier, which is maybe throughout the week. Like, all right, for example, let's say we do one episode of these, one episode a week, around the same time. And so during the other 6 days of the week, or even during the 7th day of the week, actually, we each look for interesting things that we want to talk about, that we would want to bring up, things happening in our lives or in the news that we think we can provide an interesting or unique perspective on. And we make notes of those things so that we can discuss them or argue about them or debate them during the podcast itself. Does that sound reasonable?
I think, like, you said notes, like, I think that's a great idea. If, like, we don't write notes, we're going to forget things, right? We got to, like, keep on top of things, like, actually, like, write down ideas that we think of throughout the day. And if, like, you're outside, will you think of it? Just, like, text it in their phone or, like, write it in your phone somewhere so you remember. There's infinite things to talk about in a world full of people that don't know what to talk about. But we'll talk about it.
I agree.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, so all of this we will have to consider in the meantime. But until then, I believe this is a good stopping point. I think we are ending on a good spot because of the little life lesson you were teaching our viewers about taking the time to not regret things and learning from your past mistakes and all that. A pretty good sentiment, if I do say so myself.
Oh yes. All right, let's end it here. Bye everyone. Thanks for watching.